Holy cow, guys, if you've been following the stock market today or looking at any news related to it, you will have seen that oil goes below zero. Oil went negative. Now, I've been getting a lot of people reaching out saying, should you put puts on it? Should you short it? Should you buy it? Should you do this? Should you do that? What I want to share with you in this video is my take on it. This is simply my take. I want to go through some details. I'm going to share my screen, share with you some of the information that's at hand. One of the craziest things is that Dan Pena, if you have been following entrepreneurship for quite some time, you will have heard of Dan Pena's name, whether you like him or not. Many people don't, but not too long ago, he put out a video saying that oil is going to go below $5. Everybody called him insane. He kind of is insane, but it happened, and he made his wealth in oil. He's a billionaire, okay? So what I want to do is I want to share with you my take on this, what I'm doing to position myself based on this. I previously was an engineer, so I like to follow the energy sector, especially being here in Calgary, an oil and gas town, but I want to share some of the details that came out and give you my take on it. Before you make any decision, I do advise that you consult somebody or do your own research, because I'm not a stock advisor, I'm not a financial advisor, but I do my own research and I want to share that with you. So let's head on into my screen and see what some of the crazy information that came out looks like. All right, guys, so let's look at some of this information that's been coming out today. You can see oil plunges 321% into negative territory for the first time ever as demand evaporates. If we look at some of the news coming out, you can see that it's been plunging into negative territory. A lot of traders have been uneasy, and the market that's been coming out has been extremely volatile. A lot of people that are day trading, or a lot of people that are actively trading options, have been trying to short the market, being aggressive with puts, and a lot of people are getting burned right now because at the end of the day, it's not going in the direction that a lot of people think. Now one thing that I want to show you guys is this graph right here. This has been the big one that a lot of people have been focusing on, which is oil, WTI as a commodity. Now, again, I'm not a commodity specialist, but let's look at the information. Negative 13. This is insane. It dropped by 172%. Okay. This is insane. You can see back up here, it was trading, $64, and it was peaking, back $60 not too long ago. This was still in early 2020. And recently, as of today, if we start going to the 1 month, it starts to see very volatile. We look at the 1 week, and then we get into the intraday, which is absolutely insane. Oil going negative. Are they going to give it to people for free? What's the problem? At the end of the day, one of the big problems right now is that demand is exceedingly low, yet they're still pumping out oil. So they've got this surplus and demand is low, supply is extremely high, and now they're running into a problem with storage as well as obviously consumption, because nobody is driving based on the current pandemic at hand. Now, what is going to happen going forward, and what do I think is going to happen going forward? Now, one stock that I'm going to be looking at going forward is USO, which is the United States Oil Fund. I think this is going to be one that I'm personally buying into based on what's happening right now. Again, this is, in my opinion, something that is going to be, a safe bet going forward, and I think that it's going to increase over time. But what you guys have to understand is that this is temporary. Oil's not going to go away forever. The demand is not going to go away forever. Obviously, based on the current situation, there are potentially going to be some companies that go bankrupt. Some of the smaller oil companies, but the larger ones have diversified. So this isn't their only commodity that they're dealing with, but they do have other options for making money, like the Shells and the Imperials and the Exxon Mobils, BP. All of these big companies have other resources that they can still make money from, and they still have a lot of cash on hand that they can be dealing with in order to get them through this time. So this is going to be one that I'm going to be investing in personally. Again, make sure that you do your own research. But if we look at what's going to be happening going forward, I want to share with you something related to the Dow in general. So let's look at what's been happening. A lot of people, when this bombed out, thought that this bottom right here, kind of in the tail end of March, was going to be the bottom. The Dow went down to 18.5, just shy of 18.6. And a lot of people bought back in, including myself, thinking that, okay, it's going to just, start going back up. But we started seeing some volatility and a lot of green days that were unexpected. Now, something that you should be mindful of is what's happening here. Is this going to be a bounce back? Is this going to be a rebound? I personally do not think so. Of course, we've looked at some of the daily and the 5 days, and you can see that over the last month, it's been trending upward. But here's why I personally think that this is going to be going down very, very soon. Now, let me show you a couple examples of why. If we look at what's happening over the last years. You see what happened in 2009. It went down and then it ended up bouncing back up right here. And then it went back down and plummeted. And that's the same thing that we're going through here. As it went down, it bounced back up to about 50% of the value that it dropped, and then it plummeted. Now, here's something that I think we should be mindful of. And again, this is just my speculation, so this is how I'm playing it. Drop a comment if you have a different opinion. But if you look at some of these stocks, like Carnival, for example, $12.22 today. The last time that this was down to about $12.22 is when the Dow was closer to 20,000, not 23,000. As well as Norwegian or PK, which is Hilton Hotels, or any of these stocks, their value as of today is very reminiscent of what it was when the Dow was down closer to 20,000. So all of these stocks, even though the Dow is starting to creep up, if we look at the Dow again, even though the Dow has been transcending up over the last kind of 5 days or 1 month, a lot of the stocks making this up are now at the point of where the Dow was when it was closer to 20. So I think a lot of things have been happening. You've been having stimulus bills coming in. You've been having relief programs. You've been having, all kinds of things being released by the government to keep this up to the point of where it's hopefully going to remain steady. But everything else is pointing towards some sort of crash. When that's going to happen, I don't personally know. I know a lot of friends that are active day traders. They do this for a living, and a lot of them are using puts and trying to short it, but with longer dates, because they know that it's just a matter of time. Since April, the Dow's been really struggling to get back below 22,000, but we've had a red day today, and I think based on some of the information that's coming out affecting like Hilton releasing statements about closing thousands of units and other information coming out, as well as obviously the jobless claims and the amount of employment submissions that are coming in, which I believe was around 17 million, and a lot of people are projecting it to go up closer to 40 million. I think this is inevitable that it's going to be dropping, but we just don't know when. So there's two different strategies that a lot of people that I know are playing, which is very short puts, so being a bit more aggressive with shorter windows. And then there's other people that I know that are doing longer puts, but putting more money into the puts with their confidence that this is going to collapse. I'd love to know your opinion, because again, oil is going to go back up. It's inevitable. At the end of the day, people are going to be driving again. People are going to be using resources again. As soon as this gets back, I do think there's going to be a lot of companies that start to go bankrupt, whether it be the small oil companies, whether it be some of the airlines or the cruises, some of the brick and mortar retailers. But I think we're in a position to say that at some point over the next while, this is going to be going down. Even people like Ray Dalio are saying that they believe that this is going to potentially get worse in 08-09, even though this is when what we're seeing is green days. So the one thing that I need to ask you guys is, why don't you see some of these bigger players like the Warren Buffetts and like the Ray Dalios and these people putting their money in? Obviously, they put their money in, which they have to disclose publicly when they think that it's going to be a good opportunity, which evidently has not been the case yet. So I'm being very mindful and being very patient, which I think is the name of the game right now in terms of what you should be playing during this time, because the big dogs aren't putting their money in. A lot of information, this is still being upheld in green days by speculation and emotional trading and emotional decisions and information that has not yet hit. We've seen the craziest days. We've seen jobless claims come out and the stock market goes up. We've seen death rates come out and the stock market goes up. And then we've seen stimulus packages come out and the stock market goes down. So the market isn't behaving as most people are expecting, which is why even a lot of the traders that I know that are quite consistent in terms of their incredible results with calls and puts and, basically investing in the right thing at the right time, are actually getting quite burned right now, because nobody's able to really predict what's happening, because it's simply not functioning like a normal market. But my play currently is I do believe I'm going to be getting into this stock because I think it's going to come back up over time. I am going to be putting some puts on the market, some shorter, some longer windows, because I do think it's inevitable that it's going to go down. But again, I'd love to know your feedback on what you think is going to happen, because this is some crazy news right here. This is some news that I never thought would happen, especially being in an oil and gas town, but it's temporary. And I think a lot of people are scrambling, making false assumptions, making very impulsive decisions based on this information coming out. But I still think based on the Dow, that we need to see some more red days in order to get to the point below this threshold, which, as you can see over the last while, has been the threshold before things start to get crazy. And I think as soon as you start to see it get below this threshold here, about the 23.2 number, is when you're going to see some incredible opportunities for investing if you want to be patient and wait for things to bottom out. Or if you want to do like I'm doing and be a little creative with puts, you might be able to make some pretty unreal returns based on watching it do some red days. So I'm personally waiting for multiple consecutive red days. You can see here that we had one today. I think we need to get to the point where it dips below 23 and goes into the 22s and eventually the 20s. I know some people that are projecting that the Dow is going to go down to 15,000. I don't know. I want you guys to let me know your opinion. But this is some of the information that's coming out. Yes, you're going to see information coming out about there being a shortage of storage for oil, and maybe you should buy a house and just fill it with oil. I don't know. Fill it in your garage. But at the end of the day, this will come back up. And that's why I think it is safe to put some sort of play into stocks like the following. But I think we need to be mindful of when, as well as being very careful not to short certain stocks that you're making impulsive decisions on. All right, guys, so there you have it. That's kind of my take on the current situation with oil going negative below zero. I'd love to know what you guys think of the situation. We here in Calgary, Alberta are an oil and gas town through and through. We have a lot of our largest companies like Imperial Oil here and some of the others. So again, drop a comment below and let me know what you think is going to happen. If you have any strategic plays going on right now based on energy stocks, if you're shorting it, if you're doing puts, if you're doing anything, investing in stocks, buying stocks, I just want to know what you guys are up to, because I think nobody has the right answers right now. Nobody knows exactly what's going on, but I want to see what you guys are up to so we can see what we can do in order to potentially capitalize on this situation. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always, and we will see you next time.